Hey guys, welcome back. So in this video, we'll create the extrusions for our door here. We're going to keep it simple, and later on we'll learn to create a very advanced door with nested families and more. So to create your extrusion, you will need to go to your exterior view here, and then let's click on create and click on extrusion. Then you would need to lock your extrusion lines with these reference lines. Now this is very important, and this is what makes it parametric. So let's click on pick lines here, and let's select our reference lines and make sure to lock them as well. So once you pick these lines, click on lock. Now if you like to automatically pick and lock these lines, make sure to activate the lock icon here, and then you can pick and lock these lines as well. So make sure to select only the reference lines and not your other lines, for example, your wall lines. So make sure to select your reference lines and lock them with these reference and lock them. All right, so now I'm going to trim them. So TR and start trimming your lines. Now we need an additional line here. So click on pick lines again and select the line here again. Now you would see that the highlighted lines overlap. That's because this line overlaps with the small line here. That's not a problem. We can simply trim them again. And we've created our closed loop. So once you created your closed loop, you can click on finish edit mode. So we created our first 3D element. Let's go to our flow plan here, double click, and we'll need to lock it here as well. So use these arrow icons here and simply drag it to your reference line and then lock them in place. Also make sure you're not locking them to your walls. So in this case, you can notice when I drag this arrow here, it gets locked to the wall. So in this case, it would be a good idea to hide the wall. So to hide the wall, simply select the wall, and in the bottom, you have sunglasses icon. So simply click on that and click on hide element. So now you can see your reference planes better, and then you can sort of drag it and lock it to these reference planes. So when you want to unhide these walls, simply click on your sunglasses icon again and click on reset temporary hide isolate. So that's a quick useful tip for you guys. Now when I go to my 3D view, you can notice that we have our frame in place, and this is also parametric in nature. So if I go to my family types here and let's change the width to 1000, click on apply. And let's change the rough width to say about 800 and click on apply. It would automatically change here. And we also have the frame width here at the bottom. So let's change this to say 50. Click on apply and it will automatically change the frame width as well. Now let's go back to our floor plan view. Now what we can do is we can add our shutter as well. So generally our shutters get added on the interior side of a wall. To recognize, we have our exterior side and we have our interior side. So that's very important to be aware of, which is we have an exterior side, like what I mentioned about the walls, and we have our interior side. So we're going to create our shutter on the interior side. So to create the shutter on the interior side, we can switch to the interior elevation. And here we can start creating an extrusion this time. So let's go to create, click on extrusion. And this time use the pick lines tool again and select the interior reference planes. Make sure to lock them as well. Perfect. And then we need a closed loop. So use the trim command, TR, and trim these lines. And then click on finish edit mode. Perfect. Let's go back to our floor plan view. And we'll need to lock this to some new reference planes so that we can control the thickness of our shutter. So I'm going to draw a reference plane here. And I'm going to change the color as well. So this would be a new reference plane. So you can either create a new subcategory or you can select reference plane new. Perfect. And I'm going to hide our wall again. So let's go here and click on hide element so I can see my reference planes better. And then I'm going to draw a dimension from our strong reference plane to our weak reference plane here. So this is going to be a new parameter. So select the dimension, click on create parameter and call this the shutter thickness. This can be a type parameter. We'll talk about the type and instance parameters later. For now, let's leave it as a type parameter and let's click on OK. Perfect. Now what we need to do is we need to lock these lines here with this reference plane on top and this shutter bottom with this reference plane here. Perfect. So now let's go back to our 3D view and let's check if it is parametric or not. So let's go back to our family types, and this time instead of changing the values here, what I will do is I'll create new types. So I'll create a new type and call this 1000 by and call this 1000 by 2100. So that's our first type. I need to change the rough width to 1000 here and the height to 2100 and click on apply. And then I'll create a new type, and this would be about 1200 by 2400, for example. So the rough width would be 1200 and the rough height would be 1400. So let's click on apply again, and you can notice that it is completely parametric. As a last step, what I would also like to do is change the material of the frame and our shutter. So to change the material of our frame and shutter, simply select the extrusion. We have the material option here. And as mentioned before, in the category space here on the right, we have a window. We have a small icon. So simply click on that icon and then you can change the material here. So in this case, let's create a new material. And let's call this wood. And this time what I will do is we have something called the asset browser. So we're going to open the asset browser and we're going to select a wood material from here. So search for wood and tap enter. Yeah, so you can see we have different materials here. So we can use any material that we like. Let's say we go for ash door material. So if you want to replace the new material with this material, on the right, we have this replace the current asset in the editor. So click on this icon. And then you will notice that it automatically gets replaced here. So the wood material changes with the settings in our asset browser. And if you'd like to see that in your 3D view, the color as what is shown here under the appearance tab, go to your graphics and click on use render appearance and then click on apply and then click on OK as well. I'm going to quickly switch to shaded so that I can see my material. So that is our shutter material. We can also add a material for our frame. So let's go to our frame material here. You can create a new material and call this wood frame. And then again, simply go to your asset browser, search for wood. So in case it doesn't show up, you can also select the materials from here. So you can see we have the different materials here under wood. And in this case, I can go for bamboo light semi-gloss. Perfect. And then simply go to graphics and make sure you use the render appearance, which is the appearance here. All right, so we've created our first door. Now we're going to use this door in our project. So we're going to save this family first. So go to File, click on Save As, and click on Family. Or you can hold down Control and tap S on your keyboard. And then let's save our family here. Now, generally, it's a good idea to follow a naming convention when saving families in Revit, and it would help your project as well. So you can use this naming convention to name your families. So we can start with the discipline, which is architecture. So you can, in this case, it can be A as well, which stands for architecture. And then it can be the category, which is doors or door. And then we can give the family type. In this case, it can be a simple door. You can give additional info about the doors. So let's say the different types. So this would be a single opening door. And then you can give some additional infos. Let's say, for example, it is a wooden door. So you can type in wooden. You can also give in the sizes if you like, or if it's parametric, you can leave it as is. And then you could also give the version number here. So for in this case, it would be 2026. Perfect. So it's always a good idea to follow a naming convention when saving families for your projects. So let's also click on options here and let's change this to 1 so that the backup is only 1, and let's click on save. Perfect. Now let's load this family into our project and let's use this family in our project. So let's go to a file And let's open our last project. And let's go back to our family. Now to load this family into our project, simply go to modify and you have load into project option. So simply click on that. And then what you need to do is, since this is a wall hosted family, you cannot place it wherever you like. You would need to place it on a wall. So we'll need to hover over a wall and then simply click to place your door on the wall. So you can notice that I've placed it on the wall. I can hide my DWG file temporarily. So select your DWG file, go to your sunglasses here and click on hide element. We can unhide it later. And now you can notice that I've placed my door in the project. Now let's check the size of this door. So right now it is 1000 by 2100. But in our case, what we need is a 4 feet width door. So we can also create types in the project. So you can click on edit type here. You can duplicate this type and you can call this 4 feet by 7 feet, for example. And then you can give the exact rough width to be 4 feet and the height to be 7 feet. So you can do it this way as well. And then when you unhide or reset temporary hide isolate, you see your DWG file. And then what you can do is you can place it exactly at the edge of the DWG file. Now, in case you do not see the lines below this wall, switch to wireframe. So now you see your walls better. And then you need to move this door. So select the door, click on move and move it from this edge to this edge here so that it sits exactly between this 4 feet door. Perfect. All right, so we've created our door, but it's not quite complete. We will also need to create this opening symbol here, right? And you can also notice that we placed it exactly on the interior side because our symbol sits on the exterior. So this symbol generally sits on the outer or on the exterior side of an element and it indicates the exterior side. So for this family, this is the exterior side and you can see that our shutter sits exactly on the interior side. All right, perfect. In the next video, I'll show you how to create this symbol and we'll learn how to create our first nested family in Revit. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.